I'll start from the beginning itself, right?
Okay,
The
okay.
key to solving any good recursive problem is that you should be, very clear about the method definition, right? Whatever method that you write, you should understand that what it does, right? So here we have tried to write a function called moves, okay? And what the move function does is that in this move function, if you give the number of points, and if you tell it what is your starting point, if you tell it what is the destination point, and if you tell it what is your auxiliary point, it will tell you the number of moves needed to move n point from the starting to the destination using auxiliary, right? The S is not indicating starting, so don't be confused with that. You just only have to take that, whatever is the second argument will be my starting point, whatever that is the third argument of this method will be my destination, and whatever that I put into the fourth argument will be my auxiliary node, auxiliary table or auxiliary stack. Okay, and this gives me the total number of moves. Then I ask you to tell me what is the meaning of this. So this basically means that you have to move n minus 1 points from S to D using A as auxiliary. This is the meaning of this. Again, when I move like this, I change it to this is the meaning of this method will be the number of moves needed to move n minus 1 point from S to A using D as the auxiliary, right? And the meaning of this function will be number of moves needed to move n minus 1 points from D to A using S as auxiliary, right? So now what we are doing is that we're trying to solve this problem with this method definition that we have created. We are not worrying much about how it actually does it. We just worry about that, okay, it is doing, and I believe that if I have this function, I can do this. Okay. So I had initially this state. I had as S I had like n points, at D I had 0 points, and at A I had like 0 points. Right? So I thought of I have this method, and if in this method I pass the points, I pass the starting and the destination, it will simply move it the way I want, right? So I told that, okay, you do one thing, move n minus 1 points on the top from S to A. So for that, I have to call this method like this. I have to pass n minus 1 points. I have to say that, okay, S is my starting point, A is my destination, and D is my auxiliary. So as soon as I call this function, this will return me the number of steps that was needed to do this. So S1 I got. And after this, the state is like this. S was having 1 point, D is having 0 points, and A is now having n minus 1 point, because this would have moved n minus 1 point from S to A using D as the auxiliary. So n minus 1 points have been taken from the S and it has been moved to the A. D is auxiliary, right? Now, okay. So now my problem has reduced a bit. I have moved few of the coins from the S to the A. Now the S is remaining the largest coin. Bottommost coin is the largest diameter coin. So that should go to the the at the bottom of the D also, right? I move that 1 point from the S to the D. So after this one more single step, the S has now 0, the D has become equals to 1, and the A was already having n minus 1. So in this, I have not done anything change in the A. So now after this one more step, the S has 0 points left, the D has one largest coin on it, and the A is having n minus 1 points, right? Now my next task that is only left is to move all the n minus 1 points from the A to the D. So this is what I have written here. I move n minus 1 points from A. I have to take it to the D, and I have to use third one as the auxiliary. So when I move n minus 1 points from here to here, now the D is having the n points, S is having 0 points, and A is having 0 points. So this is my final state that I wanted to achieve. Now if I have to calculate what is the total number of steps, so steps needed in this step, the steps needed in moving from 1 point from the S to D, and then again the steps needed to move from the A to D will be my total number of steps. So this should be my total number of steps, which should be my answer. Is it clear?
Yeah, Vishwa.
Now let's try to write the recursive code for the same when we have understood the logic. So I write this function public and moves, and then I say that int n char a star char int and cancel. So the first is the termination condition. Okay. So what I do is that if n is equal to 1, okay. So if the n is equals to 1, it means that I have to move only 1 point. Okay. And if I have to move only 1 point from S to the D using A as auxiliary, so I know it is only one step that is needed. So I simply return and the method will get executed. So if I'm only left with 1 point, it can be only done in the one step. Now the second thing is that there is the logic this recursion part comes into the play. So what I want is that I want to move first n minus 1 points from S to the A, right? So for that I have to call this function recursively, move n minus 1 point from S to move it to A, okay? And then what you do is you can store it like this, like in steps to move from S to A, okay? And steps to move from B equals to move n minus 1 and D and then A and then S, right? So my my answer should be steps to move from the S to A n minus 1 points plus 1 point that is needed to move from the remaining S to the D, and then moving the remaining points from the A to the D. And this will be my answer. The same thing that what I've done here is what I have written here. Same thing. So with this, the whole problem, and if you wanted, I could have written all these three things in a single line of statement. So the whole code gets solved in just like 3 lines of code using the recursion. 1 second. I think this one I have written is, sorry, this is A and B and then it's A, D and sorry. Yeah, you told me. I think this I have done a typo here. So in the recursion, the implementation is not that important. The most important thing in the recursion is understanding what is the method definition. And if you understand the method definition, you can use it to write a very nice, beautiful, and succinct recursive call. Is it clear now? Don't try to memorize, just try to think about the steps. Whatever the point that I told you, that whenever you're solving any recursive problem, you should be very clear about the method definition, and it's very important. And if you're clear about the method definition, you can always use it intelligently to make a recursive call, right? Does this make sense? Is it clear? Any doubts on this question?
Vishwa, I have one question in the steps to move, right? So after in the logic plus recursion, right? For the first step, which you were saying that move n minus 1 coins from S to A using D. Okay?
Yes.
So if we see the stack of the queues, even in n minus 1, we have the last one, which is a big one, followed by the smaller ones. Imagine you have some cubes, right? Starting from, okay. Let us suppose 10, 9, 8, 7. Okay.
Okay.
These are n minus 1.
Okay.
So now you are planning to move n minus 1 from S to D, because D is the auxiliary. First, you will pick 7 because it's the top layer, okay, and move to D. Okay. Then the next one will be you pick 8, and again you will move to D because it's a recursion one. But 8 is greater than 7. That means 8 size is greater than the 7 size. That means we are keeping a bigger one on a smaller one. But as per the one of the conditions is that we shouldn't keep a bigger one.
So actually, to visualize that, what you can do is that once you actually the way you are iterating it is not correct, because of which you are saying you are putting a bigger one into smaller one. To visualize that, what you can do is that when you are solving this problem, you can just print it. Okay, so you can just print it every time when you're moving a coin from the one to the another, right? So in this, between this, you can just print one statement: move one point from, and this is S. So what you can do is that so the one way is that you start doing the same approach with the 3 coins, because in that case it will be simpler for you to visualize. You put this print statement, run your IDE, and see how the things are happening, and then you will realize that things are happening in the order, because the way we have written this recursive call, as I was explaining here, is that first of all you move n minus 1 point from the S to the A, right? And when I say that I move this n minus 1 from the S to A, I have done this using all the constraint that is there. How it is being done, this internally take care of. As of now, till here, I'm not worrying about the implementation detail. I just know that when I tell this moves function to move n minus 1 point from the S to the A, it will do that with, by following all the constraint that, only a smaller one can be kept at the top of the bigger one. The bigger one cannot be kept at the top of the smaller one. So using those all constraints, it has moved n-1 coins from the S to the D. And now the one that is bigger is left here. I just move it to by using one step, I move it to the step D. And then I move n-1 coins from here to here. So since here also I'm making sure that, the bigger coin goes at the bottom. So all the internal recursive calls will also take care of this condition that, always the biggest goes at the bottom. So whenever you write a recursive call, you try to follow a pattern in that particular function. And then when you call it recursively, it keeps following the same pattern inside that also. So we have made sure that when we write this, function, we have first moved this, then we have taken this one step to move from, S to the D, and then only I am calling this method. So that is why I added one in between here, right? So this makes sure that, every time when you do this, constant of larger coming at the bottom and the smaller coming at the top holds true. And if you want to visualize this, in the interest of the time, I'll not do it, but I'll share this piece of the code. You can simply, copy this code and try to run this. And I think then in that case, you'll get a, proper one by one that how the coins are moving from the one to another. Right?
But a final question, Vishwa.
Yeah.
So if there is 1 to n, we will move one first, following n. Is that right?
Yes, we'll have to move one by one itself. So for example, suppose n is equal to 3. Now here your doubts will get clear. So I have a source, I have a destination, and I have something called auxiliary. Initially it was 3, right? It was 0, and it was 0, right? Now I want to first move the one coin from the S, smallest one I have to move. So first of all, what I did, I moved the one coin here, and it was left with 2, and it was left with 0, right? And I can move this coin to here, and this is 0, and this is still left with the 2, and then I can move this further coin here. This still remains 1, and this remains 1. This again, this one I can put here 2, and here it is 0, and then it is 1. I put it back here, and then it is 2. Sorry, let me make this 0. So what I'm trying to do here is,
I understood your approach.
You got my point, right? So one after another, keep on arranging it like this, and this is how the recursion will also follow, because one after the another sides will come down, and this is how it has to.
So for each step, we need to follow both the two move conditions in that case.
Yes. So this is what we are doing, right? For each of the steps, we have to follow this, right? And then in between, you have to move one also. So this will happen for every case.
Okay, I got it.
Right. There's another way to solve this problem, and it becomes very simple. So what you can do in that case is you can try to solve for 1, and the value will come out as 1. If you try to solve for 2, it will come out as 3. If you come out for 3, it will come out as 7. And if you come out as 4, if you calculate, it will come out as 15. So if you follow this pattern, it actually follows a pattern of 2 to the power n minus 1, right? But this is a tricky way, so I'll not ask you guys to follow this step, because this will not always work, because you cannot rely on a tricky approach. But then this is very efficient, because what you did is that you have to figure it out the pattern, how that is getting you the data. So it is basically a power of 2 to the power n minus 1. So you just put the value of n, you will get the number of times that you have. But this is a tricky approach, we will not follow that. So we'll just follow the logical one, which is the recursive.